vibes around here, all good vibes, start this out the way it should be started with some
Is
good.
that your favorite?
Yes, and I brought out to thank you for asking me that. Yes, I like good vibes only, because it gives me some beats and it doesn't feel like a earthy beat tone. That them beats can get real earthy on you.
Yeah, people. I just planted some beats today in the back of the store, ironically. But yeah, customers over the years, you either I'm all for beats, I drink them raw, concentrated, or you like keep the beats away from me. It's no in between with beats.
That's great. Well, guys, I got a special edition of Wealth Wednesdays. And you may be seeing this on a day that's not Wednesday, but it's still about wealth. And we often talk about like money. You guys have seen our tax advisors on here, our real estate projects. But today I brought on a friend of mine who owns a wonderful business. It's called Ruby Jeans. And we're going to be talking about the ultimate wealth, which is health, right? And Chris Goode owns Ruby Jeans out of Kansas City. And thanks for joining me, my brother.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. You've been a light in my life in a very short amount of time, so I appreciate it.
No, that's great. How did we meet? Do you remember?
Yep. So my business is small enough to where, when we send a shipping case, a case of our juice across the country, wherever it's going, I still get a copy emailed to my actual inbox. And, I kept seeing this name, like this brother's ordering, like, and I didn't know, who it was, but this is a consistent order, like who is this? Keith, our wholesale director, we talked about it a couple times. And then I believe you reached out to Keith, initially, and then we started talking about, and I just hear this Alan Johnson, like this name, and I'm like, okay, he ordered again. We got to figure out a time to talk. So we finally spoke, and then we just connected from there. You've been a huge supporter, just as a consumer and looking to see us go further. So thank you.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So I like to frame this conversation, guys, with a quick quote. So people with diabetes and high blood pressure, those conditions are brought on by lifestyle. And if you change the lifestyle, the conditions will leave. And that's by the late great Dick Gregory. Can you tell me a little bit about the origins of your business and a little bit about your business as well?
Absolutely. The short version, this is hard for me to shorten, but right over my shoulder here, you see a woman's face, and on the bottle that Alan held up, that's my late grandmother. Her name was Ruby Jean. And so my dad wasn't in the picture early on, and my grandmother really came in and added that layer of support that my mom needed early on in my life. And we grew this really, really close knit relationship with my grandma. She lived right down the house. We all lived on the east side of Kansas City, not far from where I'm sitting right now. Um, and that love that my grandmother expressed to us, typically it came in the form of food. And that food was soul food. She came from tiny, tiny town in Oklahoma. She came to Kansas City for life in this big city comparatively. And when she would cook, that's how she communicated her love. And it's fried chicken, fried pork chops, macaroni and cheese. At breakfast, we talking fried pork chops,
Yep.
rice with sugar and butter, cheese eggs, and cornbread with all the stuff on it, and greens, and on and on and on. And when I was 14 years old, in 1999, my grandmother got sick, and it was really, really sudden, at least from a 14-year-old's perspective at that time. And this love that we grew from my grandmother, it quickly turned into us mourning her impending death. And so when the hospital not far from where I'm at, when they wanted to try one last thing, they sent her to another hospital in Kansas City on our Country Club Plaza. And so she gets there, they try whatever they're trying, and it didn't work. And my grandmother ended up on life support. We sent for my great grandmother, who still lived in Muskogee, Oklahoma at the time.
Mhm.
And we called her Mom. My great grandma affectionately was known as Mom throughout my family. And so Mom gets to Kansas City, and normally when we're seeing her, we're taking a caravan down to Oklahoma to visit. But this time you could just see the defeat in her spirit. she came into the waiting room, and I still remember this. I'm 41 years old now. I was 14 then. And she came into the waiting room, and I had never seen her like this. I had never seen her this way, this pale, just look of defeat. She goes in and spends that final hour with my grandmother, her baby, Ruby Jean. Mom comes out to the waiting room, looks around at us, Alan, scans the room, it was like a farewell in her eyes. My great grandmother ends up having a massive heart attack in front of us, collapses, and dies before my grandmother will be taken off life support 2 days later. Um, so in a 48-hour window, we're losing our two matriarchs, our two pillars in our family. And it's like life slowed down. I got to experience grief at this really high magnitude. And I never lost that feeling, like the way that made me feel. And I said to myself, kind of made a silent vow that, man, one day I'm gonna show people who my grandmothers were, who my grandma was, who my mom still is. I'm gonna show them the thing that I recognize is that now as an adult is that they had this ability through extreme poverty and lack and you know this absence of abundance to be able to say, I'm still going to carry myself with joy. I'm still going to walk upright. I'm still going to exude nothing but nobility and integrity no matter what's going on. I carried that through, end up playing football. I would hit a quarterback. That's for my grandma, everything. I started getting tattoos in college, walked under the college team. That's for grandma. Fast forward a whole bunch of years after not making it to the NFL, I still carried that longing for wanting to honor my grandma. The way God rerouted it was I got introduced to a cold pressed juice cleanse by way of some friends in Los Angeles that I had thought lost their minds. They tell me I get to LA just to hang out, and they say to me, Alan, they say, welcome. We forgot to tell you that we're not gonna eat today or tomorrow. Excuse me? You're not gonna do what? And so I ate. The next day, they set me down, said, okay, we want to show you what we're doing. And so they set me in front of this documentary called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead.
Mm.
And the short version, at the beginning, I was annoyed that I'm in North Hollywood, in this little apartment watching the documentary. My toes should be in the sand. But about midway through, I start paying attention, and this guy changed the course of his complete existence by way of a 60-day juice cleanse. And that's extremely difficult to do. But what registered at that moment was that, wow, he was able to realize that I'm sick. I got the best access to healthcare, the best doctors, and none of it's fixing me. And so he does his research and he lands on juice cleansing. My grandmother lived 61 years and never did she have a moment to say, you know what, my ankles are swelling because of this. You know what, I gotta go to take insulin because of this. She literally ate soul food until it killed her without any moment of um, we're gonna pivot, we're gonna turn the corner, I'm gonna start walking more, I'm gonna stop eating fried food. She ate this food until it killed her. 2015, I took all of that, my desire for just to see and hug my grandmother again, started going to juice bars across the country, and it all culminated into me jumping out and starting a juice business here in Kansas City, where I'm from, in honor of my grandmother, but really in honor of all the other Ruby Jeans that still walk the face of the earth, the people that need to encounter this message that wouldn't otherwise. And that's the shortest version of it. But it started as something to honor my late grandmother, and this grown into this mirror. And so when you pick up that juice bottle on a set of shelves and it's a bunch of juice, that's the only face that'll be looking back at you wherever you are. And that's a mirror. It has her face, but it's a mirror to say, oh, that's me, that's my Uncle Johnny, that's my auntie, that's my brother. It's this consciousness to say, you don't have to be perfect to do this. You just got to think about it. But that's that.
It's funny you say that about the picture, because I know the story obviously is written on the back of the bottle, right? And I know you, so I've heard this before. But I went to a settlement earlier this week, and I had anytime I go out, and I got the juice bottle, I always take a picture and send it to you, right?
Yeah.
Um, because juice has changed my life, right? I think that in every season of your life, especially as a man, your diet and your habits have to change for each season. Like in your 20s, you could get away with things that you can't get away with in your 30s, in your 40s, and your 50s, and so on and so forth. But I had the bottle on the table while we were settling on this property. I was helping the seller and the title company rep, and both of them said, "Who is that lady on that bottle?" That's what they both said, right? And they were both, black, and it happened to be that you're right. The first black woman that they saw on a juice bottle ever in their life, and it just all registered to me like why that symbolism is important.
Oh man, it's so important. I mean, you think about, you got the Kool-Aid pitcher, smiling, sloshing around on a skateboard. You got the Colonel, you got the little girl with red pigtails, you got the clown, you got the king, and all the while these symbols are that's what's signaling to our children. This is food. This is what you want to eat. This is what you should have. And typically when you see, and not always, but when you see the likeness of a black person, in the case of an Aunt Jemima, it's this
Mm,
proliferation of black culture. It's this, hey, this is a culture that only deserves fried chicken, that only deserves these things, and we'll steal that likeness, the humanity in it, to sell these goods. But I got the privilege of being the first face to put the first face in the cold pressed juice market on the bottle. And it's being my grandmother that knew nothing about cold pressed juice,
mm.
Alan, nothing. If she had salad that had bacon bits and ranch and cheese on it. And it's been a blessing to lift that contradiction up in a way that saves more people that, she didn't get the opportunity for.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope. Okay, so let's get into some semantics of juice real quick. So, guys, if you're interested in ordering, just real quick, because we're gonna keep plugging it. Is it rubyjeansjuicery.com or
Yes,
rubyjeans.com?
rubyjeansjuicery.com.
Rubyjeansjuicery.com and use the discount code. Guys, I got my own discount code. AJ10. AJ10 gets you 10% off. Um, so heart disease, we know, is a leading cause of death for Black men, right? We know it comes from chronic stress, from all types of systemic racism, from uncontrolled hypertension, and just other risks. And those contributing factors are like cardiovascular related, right? And high blood pressure is common in the Black community, and it can be exacerbated by things like stress, by like socioeconomic factors like food and housing insecurity, guys. So this is how this all connects together, right? Food and housing insecurity. Why is juicing healthy? Number one, and then tell me, what does cold pressed juice mean? And you can answer those questions in either
Okay.
sequence.
Juicing is healthy because the fact of the matter is it's very difficult for most people, the majority of people, to sit down and consume a giant bowl of raw fruits and vegetables. It's just not going to happen. Even if you stretch it out over a day, given busyness, given so on and so forth, sitting down in front of raw fruits and vegetables and just eating them in abundance is very rare. And so juicing concentrates that. It takes all of this big bowl of nutrients, several pounds of produce per bottle, and it takes out the most important nutrients that you need from it, puts it in a form that is convenient, it's easy to drink, and so it's healthy because it flushes our body full of nutrients and enzymes in a manner that we wouldn't otherwise get. Cold press is a process that eliminates as much heat as possible, where we grind down the fruits and vegetables to this slurry, as we call it. And then the next step is a very large machine slowly presses it together. And this is all happening in an environment that is at or below 41 degrees from the time the produce enters the facility to the time the bottles go into a customer's hand. It's cold the entire time. That cold chain is what allows a preservation for us, in addition to pressure. But cold press is the method by which we process the juice.
Gotcha. Cool. You said that you have well, I know you said, like I don't know. Tell me where your locations are.
So we're in Kansas City, Missouri, our brick and mortars. We have a location inside of our women's soccer stadium here. The first soccer stadium, the first stadium purpose built for women. It's a blessing to be a part of it because my grandmother's space is in there, and we sell a ton of our acai bowls, our juice. We got vegan nachos. We do a vegan chili, and here in a few weeks as the temperatures change. We have a location inside of Whole Foods, which is the first ever brick and mortar black owned business to actually have a brick and mortar presence in a Whole Foods in their history right here in Kansas City, Missouri. And then where I'm sitting right now, this is my pride and joy. We could do a conversation just about this place, but man, when I was a kid, this was the day old bread store. And this is the first ever healthy business to ever exist on the east side of Kansas City in the history of Kansas City, Missouri. This is our red line. Here, if you've been paying attention to what's going on from a congressional standpoint, we are one of the states that are in the midst of gerrymandering. And so the additional red line that's now being placed is right down this street called Troost Avenue. And so this is our primary flagship location, the real estate that we own, actually the place that introduced you and I, because we're struggling with some property tax situations still here, and it made it to the nightly news. And I think that's where you initially saw us. And then we have a location in Springfield, Missouri, about 3 hours away. That's also a store in store concept. We have 2 smart refrigerators inside of a hospital here. And then we sell our juice at wholesale in roughly about 400 places, including 134 Whole Foods across the country, as far as Hawaii all the way to DC. And then we ship our juice nationally as well. A 12-pack of juice will show up right to your door in our packaging.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. That's how I get my juice, guys. I get it shipped. I get it shipped in every 2 weeks. I ship couple boxes to my dad, so he sees 2 Johnson orders come in, which is great. So you can get the juice to my tribe. I'm letting you guys know you can get the juice shipped directly to your door. Comes nice, cold, ready for you to put into your refrigerator, and just use the discount code AJ10, right? And it's rubyjeansjuicery.com. All right, a couple more questions, and I know you got to go because you are a business owner. How can folks support you? Like, suppose people hop on and like, man, like this is dope. Like, I want to do a little bit more than just order juices from you. Like, what can they do to support you?
Ordering juice to your house is extremely important for us. It's our best margin product that we have. It's coming directly from us. Visiting in the Whole Foods is also important. Our sales velocity is extremely important for growth. But I would say, thirdly, some of the relationships that I'm looking for, are these marquee opportunities where I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that our juice could be sold on an airline one day. One of the places that's been very, very hard for us to crack, if you will, is entering the airport hospitality space. There's a lot of barrier there. And then athletics. So we just started our first ever account where the buyer is not reselling it to their customer, and that came by way of University of Kansas football team. And so the players can go into their dining facility exclusive to them and just grab our juice. And so having more relationships that puts us in position for volume like that, in front of a marquee crowd as well, is important for us.
All right, excellent, guys. So you heard it. If you know anybody who does the buying for sports teams, hit my man Chris up. If you know any buyers for national, food chains, hit my man up. If you know any buyers, anyone who's connected in the hospitality, major hospitality, or like the airport, make sure you hit Chris Goode up, and just know that like what you're doing is actually you're making a connection that's going to change someone's life. Right. There's someone who's going to look at this and be like, dang, like that looks like my grandma. And then they're going to look and they're like, oh, that's juice. And they're going to be like, oh, I didn't even notice that was good with the E. That's a good vibe only. But like, yo, that's something I'm going to taste. Right. And that's how we end up changing people's health and changing people's lives, is by what they put in their mind, what they see, and what they put into their mouth and their heart. Right. So that's why we kind of shifted this Wealth Wednesday to a little bit different angle, because like what you put into your bank account is important, but what you put into your mouth is even more important than what you put into your bank account, because this is the life bank account, guys. So, Chris, I'm gonna let you have the final word, man. Is there anything you want to say? Anything you wanna highlight that we haven't highlighted?
No, I mean, the it's a blessing, to run into people like you, because we have these dreams, we have these things that we see, and a lot of times we'll shove them away. We'll encounter external doubt from other people, and they'll project that onto us. We've been in business now a decade, and it's been a road that I'm extremely grateful for and humbled by. But I just want to give you my gratitude, in front of your audience, because support is a verb, and it's a two-way street, and I pray that I can return the level of support that you've extended to me and my business, and by way of that, my family. And so whoever is listening, show up for each other. This brother right here is a shining example for us in that regard, and I just want to give you my gratitude.
Man, that's awesome, man. And then here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about the real estate angle. I'm gonna fly out there, right? And then we're gonna talk about the real estate angle live in the actual building. And we're gonna make it fly, make it dope, and we'll talk about that then.
All right, appreciate you, brother Howard.
Chris Good, go get it, man. Appreciate everyone joining me for Wealth Wednesdays. Make sure you guys support Chris Good at rubyjeansjuicery.com. Discount code AJ10. I love you, brother.
All right, love you too. Peace.
Peace.